Hi guys, welcome to Ife and OKEY'S Love Channel. So my name is Ife Ogunbanwo, now Madwanusi.
And my name is Okechukwu Madwanusi.
Madwanusi. Madwanusi, that's how to pronounce it.
Madwanusi.
Madwanusi.
And I'm an actor.
Okay, and I'm a tech consultant. And we're here to uplift lives and enlighten souls with our love story.
Because God is love and love is God. So when you have love, you have God.
That's right.
Yeah.
So today we're going to be talking a little bit about how we met and how we knew that we were right for each other. So, honey, do you want to start or should I start?
No, anybody can start. But just let them know that the channel is new. So subscribe, like, and your comment is highly needed. So you could ask questions in the comments, more you want to know about us, because we believe that telling our story, putting our story out there for everybody, we know that people will learn from it, and we'll also learn from people's experiences through the comments, and people will also be free to share their own love story, because you don't even know who you are encouraging, families you're helping, and the individuals you're enlightening and bringing them closer to their life partners, which is a place of interest in the life of many singles. You know, finding the right partner and knowing that they are the right one for you. So this video is going to be a recap of how we worked on ourselves individually, and our personal work with God, and how we met, and how we know that we are the perfect one for each other, and how our journey has been, the struggles and challenges we had to overcome in the pursuits of being together as husband and wife. So, honey, I think you should start.
Okay, so as we all know, or some of us know, I'm coming from my channel that I was doing individually with Love Ife. And out there, I talked a little bit about my process and how these things worked out for me, how I heard from God, and how it's been an entire journey. And it's been a really frustrating but also wholesome journey, because
you know, when you heard from God, about the whole process, so people will get confused, because I've heard people ask questions like, how do people really hear from God? Honestly, everybody hears from God. You just have to discover how He talks to you. But believe you me, He made us all. So if you're a human being that has the breath of life in you, that means God talks to you in different ways.
Yeah.
Well, you tell them more how He speaks to you too.
Yeah, so I actually talked a little bit about that on my channel, like how God speaks to you, how you hear from God. Some people hear it through dreams and visions. Some people hear it through just spoken word in their ears. Some people just hear based off of their intuition, how, you know, the Holy Spirit speaks to them in that still small voice. It always comes with peace. It never comes with guilt. It never comes with confusion. It's always just peace and love, you know. And for me, that's how I hear from God, through dreams, visions, spoken word. You know, people, sometimes I just ask God for specific things, like, can you send someone to me? Can you show me a sign? Can you know what I mean? And just give me peace. And that always happens. So how we met, in my other channel with Love Ife, my individual channel, I talked a little bit about this. So I'll just do a little recap on how we met. But I talked more about the process. How we met is a little bit more divine and God-led. God really led us to each other. I think that's what it is. So do you want to tell them a little bit about it, from us meeting on a platform, and then
just to be clear, I may mention some social media. Okay, I wouldn't mention, because I wouldn't say it's not a paid ad for the platform, but I wouldn't call the platform. But it's an online platform, okay, where I was having this program called Dr. Love. I talked a lot about love, about relationship, about finding God, having a work with God, and we discussed more about some personal topics when it comes to relationships, um, family love, love with your siblings, your parents, your spouse, and your community and your place of work. So I remember Ife dropping by, and because I normally bring people up on the panel to share their view of the topics we normally discuss in that forum. And I remember the very day that she came by, and when I heard the wisdom from her, and I think that very day we were talking about dreams, the significance of dreams and how important dreams are, and how God talks to us through dreams, and if dreams can be manipulated. That was a topic that very day on my platform, and she came by, and it happened to be a very interesting area of concern to her, dreams, because I know you guys don't know this, but she interprets dreams, and God speaks to her a lot through dreams as well, and visions. But I'm more of the person that I on my consciousness I hear from God, and I also see visions of things that are yet to happen, or things that have been, or things that are happening already. That's past, present, and future. All things to God for our gifts, and thank God that we found a way to coexist together with this gift and help ourselves in growing stronger together in love.
And harness these gifts as well. Just make sure that we're getting better at it, and leaning more towards God, as our source, as opposed to like ourselves, and putting so much emphasis on the gifts. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And helping our immediate community. Yeah. But now we're bringing it out to the world. Yeah. To solve a lot of issues and problems. So we've decided to render this service in the ways that we can. Yeah. In the way that we can, as God leads. As God leads. Yeah. So that's literally how we're going to be posting more videos and elaborating more and diving deeper into the stories of how we met, how the journey has been, how we overcame a lot of obstacles, and how we worked on our individual selves. We'll still dive deeply into these stories, because we're here to let our story out to the world. So that's a brief recap of how we met. It was on a social media platform. So it started off as a long distance relationship. So we talked.
Which we both don't like, by the way.
Exactly. I never thought I could do that.
Yeah.
I remember telling you that I saw people, most especially guys, like males, who spend hours on video calls with their spouse and partners, like people who really don't have a job. Yeah. So I remember a lot of my friends who would definitely come for me, saying that I engaged on a long distance relationship, which was online, and I never believed in it, honestly. That is why I always tell everybody, be open-minded, open up your mind. Be in a space where you are ready to unlearn and relearn. Don't be a stereotypical mindset person when it comes to a lot of topics and discussions, and you're like, no, if it's not this way, it shouldn't be. If it's not that way, it's not real, because you can't limit God. That's the simple truth. If people didn't do it differently, we wouldn't have new inventions and innovations, because it all came from people who decided to do it differently. Yeah. So trying new things is a great acceptance to contemporary development in every area of life, honestly, believe you me. So it happened that after she came on that program, on my online program, and she spoke, her contribution to the topic on that very day about dreams really caught my attention. And the main thing that really caught my attention is that she talks differently from every other person that was on the panel that day that was contributing to the discussion of dreams, her thought was totally different from what everybody said, and that caught my attention. And not just that it was different, but she made sense from a different perspective, and her strong will to what she believed, and the open mind and the openness to adjust to that belief were the things that caught my attention. And I remember I reached out to her and I was like, I would love you to come more to the program. From there, I knew that there was something in her that I wanted to be part of. I wanted it to be part of my life, and I wanted to be part of her life. From that was just the way it started. We'll dive deeper into the stories in the future videos we'll be posting on this channel. That's why you need to share the link, share the videos, like the videos, comment, and tell us more areas you would like us to talk about. We are not hiding anything. Want to let the story out to the world. So I remember from there we started talking, and we spoke literally like every day into 4 months. We spoke every day, length discussions. We found time to talk to each other after work or even during work. But we found time to talk to each other every day for 4 good months. 4 good months. Okay, 3 months.
Yeah.
Was it 3?
Yeah, 3 months.
Okay. We started in August.
We started September.
Oh, September, October, November, December. Okay, yeah, 3 months before we met in person. She's right. So we spoke every day. All through 3 months, we spoke every day. Lengthy and deep discussions. We'll still talk more about that, the kind of discussions you should have with intending spouse or partners. The kind of topics you should discuss more with them to know if they are the right one for you or you're the right one for them. Because it goes both ways. Because love cannot be one-sided. We'll talk more about that. You have to give love, and you have to learn how to receive love as well. That's the only way these things work. So you know that we're not just loving someone, but the person loves you too. Not just having some values and morals, knowing that the person shares the same values and morals with you, and knowing that in your weakness the person is your strength, and in the person's weakness you are the person's strength as well. So, and how to strengthen each other's weakness as well, because sometimes our weaknesses can also be our strength. We discovered that because physical attraction really matters as well, and you can't really judge all of it when it's online. You can't judge all of it online. So we meet in person, we're physically attracted as well. That is another very vital, paramount priority in relationship and in marriage, because we're deep believers of marriage and in marriage. Though at the point that was from my wife, she was scared of it, and I'm happy that God used me to strengthen her in the weakness of not believing in marriage. I've been someone who believed deeply in marriage, though there was a time in my life. We'll talk more about all those things. We'll post more videos about, because we'll still dissect, section these topics and talk more about them in the forthcoming videos. I remember that I've always believed in marriage, but there came a time where I thought that I would not get married. Not that I didn't believe in marriage. I believe in marriage, and I know that because I've been someone that I've been very optimistic that when I see things, I believe that I could make it better. So I've seen marriages that work, marriages that failed, marriages that struggled, marriages that are toxic. I've seen the ones that are very sweet as well. But in general, seeing all those things in marriages, in people's experiences in marriage, because you don't have to wait to experience it before you learn. Though they say that experience is the best teacher. Yeah. You can easily learn from other people's experiences, which is what I've been practicing all through my life before I met my wife. So I'm someone that believed that I could always do it better. I could always do it better. There's always a better way to do things that I've already seen existing. There's no idea is a virgin. We all need these ideas from someone's invention, and then we escalate it, advance it, and work more on it to become the best version of it that we could offer at a time, and then give room for improvements. That's why we always even apps on our phone, we update, upgrade. So we leave room for upgrading.
Okay, So, as he said, we met on the platform and we started to talk a little bit more. And then he said, he wants me back on the platform to have more of a conversation with him and his, people, I guess I would say. And then we started to kind of get more in tune with each other and become friends. And then we started talking long distance. Obviously, we're gonna put that in a video later, deeply about how we actually met. But I think what really caught my eye was how I felt, has been in the environment he's been for a very long time, and he does not think like a typical Nigerian. And I don't want to say that we all know, like, as Nigerians, some of us are Nigerians here, so we all know how, like, there's gender roles and whatnot. Those are things that I don't believe in so much. I believe that we should both help each other in partnership and in marriage. So I love the fact that he was very, like, open-minded to hearing my perspectives, to understanding it. Like, he has a really, like, deep level of understanding, and he can really think and process information and, like, think from a different perspective, just not from his only. And so that's something that really attracted me to him. He was very open-minded, um, willing to learn. He's not a very, like, I would say that I'm even more like, sometimes if I really believe deeply in something, like, it's harder to get me off that path sometimes than it is for him. But he can just switch from, like, believing in something 1 minute, and then he learns new information, and he's like, right away he's believing, he's opening his mind more. And those are things that really attracted me to him. I do that too, but it's not like as often as he does it. So for me, it just felt like, okay, this man is really, like, willing to learn. He's really understanding. He's really patient. He's loving and kind. And actually, even us meeting in the first place was him trying to get help for his sister, and he wanted someone that lives or has lived in Canada to be like, okay, let's help her out with this and this and this, since she just moved over there. And so even that, like, kind of, what would I say now? Like, that action of, like, trying to get help for someone that he cares about and loves, that was also another thing that really caught my attention. I'm like, okay, like, for him to do this, it means that he really truly, like, values people in his life, his family members and stuff. And yeah, that really got my attention. So yeah.
And you said something that also caught my attention, which is about the gender role. And I would say, and I'll say it again, that the concept of saying that someone is the head of the family, I would say that a family, there's two heads. It's because if you and your husband, or you and your wife is one, that means she's the rib of your rib, she's the bone of your bone. That's two has become one. That means we only have one head. If you break it down, we have two heads of the family. I'm not saying one is Lord over one, no, because you guys are a head together because you complete each other, and yeah, that is it.
Yeah.
That is it.
So those were the things that caught my attention, because, like, a typical Nigerian man, they would not, typically, I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them, I would say a general, like, population of them would not really think the way he does or process things the way he does. And that was one of my main concerns about marriage that I was kind of scared of at some point, was that I didn't want someone that, like, cannot be moved or cannot learn new things and open their minds to something better if they hear better. And I didn't want someone that can't teach me as well, because I'm teaching you and you're teaching me. I didn't want someone that was so stuck in his ways that he couldn't, think otherwise about anything else. I wanted someone that was self-aware. I wanted someone that was kind, patient, loving. I wanted someone that was God-fearing, and not just, like, God-fearing in just going to church and stuff. Actually, when we met, we both, like, we're not really, like, church goers like that. for me personally, I don't have a church that I would say I call this church my own. Obviously, I talked about that in my With Love Ife channel. Um, it's not it's a process and a journey I've been going on with God on my own. But yeah, so he was God fearing. He had a relationship with God without like the whole church like building. I call it a church building because we are the church and we go out into the world and we are the church as individuals, you know. So that's another thing that caught my eye. Like, how is this guy a Nigerian man that has all of these qualities? And it just blew my mind. I was just, and I tell him every day, even till now, like I still like don't understand. It has to be God. It just has to be God, because I knew, like, on my process, in my process and on my journey, I knew that God wanted me to go back to Nigeria at some point and meet this man. I just didn't know it was him at the time. And I knew that God wanted me to marry a Nigerian man, but God was also interested in what I wanted as well, right? So it was so hard to find a Nigerian man that was not, you know, stuck in his ways of doing things and unwilling to learn and grow. And just a conventional, traditional Nigerian man. It was like he was a unicorn. Seriously, like I didn't think that they really existed. So I was just trusting in God and just hoping that, and just praying and just believing and having faith that God will give me what is best for me. And that's what he did.
The unicorn with no horn.
The unicorn with no horn. So that's what I got. And yeah, I'm so happy. It was a really long journey of patience, of everything. I don't know. It tested me. It tested my faith. It tested my relationship with God. It just tested me. But through the whole process, it was very difficult. It felt very difficult at the time, because obviously, like, your flesh is fighting with your spirit all the time, and like it's such a tug of war that like sometimes it's really hard to just go through that process without some form of like confusion, depression, anxiety, you know, sometimes. So that's why I said, like, God, everything that has to do with God comes with peace. So if you start getting anxiety and confusion and depression and all of those things, that's not God. You know, even within the process of dealing with chaos, you should still have peace with God, you know. So for me, I went through a really deep like process of confusion and pain, and I went through a really dark time before I finally decided. Around the time we met, I actually had told myself, you know what, God, I'm gonna give you this timeline, and you know, this is, if this guy doesn't show up, like I actually thought it was somebody different, but that's a story for another day. So if it's not that other guy, and the guy that you actually truly want from me doesn't show up, then I mean, I'll just go out and start dating again, because you know, I'm just gonna live my life and, you know, in peace until I felt comfortable again through this process. And actually, God showed up for me exactly at the time that I told him that I needed, like a deadline that I told him I needed this to happen. That's when I met him. And so he came, and I asked God again during that time for help with something, for help with the process, the way I was feeling at the time. I asked God for help. And here, you know, this man comes into my life, and he's like, God sent me to help you with something. And I'm just like, okay. So when I heard it the first time, I was just like, who are you and what? But anyways, this is a full, like, we're going to talk about this much later in our other videos, but this is a huge and full prophetic marriage that went as far back for me as 2019, and we're in 2023 now, right? So this is a prophetic marriage. I actually knew his name, that, you know, I didn't know he was actually going to come and show up as his name. You know, I knew about his name before I actually met him. Like, God told me, OKEY'S, you know, and that's his full name. And I knew that. I just didn't know. I didn't even know how to interpret that message, because God didn't give me too much more information about that. So when he came through into my life and it was OKEY'S, I'm just like, that's one of the main things actually that made me start to entertain him more, because he came at a time where I was just living my life and enjoying my life and working and traveling and just doing my own thing, because I had told God, send me help, and I just left it for God to do. And I was just like, God, I'm going to live my life regardless of this. And so he came through and he said, his name is Okechukwu. And then he came through and he said, God sent me to help you with something. So, I mean, who else could it be but God? Like, I didn't tell anybody these prayers that I was praying, you know? It's not like anybody was in the room with me when I was praying and asking God to send me help. So, like, who else could it be but God? He used those words too. God sent me to help you with something, you know? And so that was like the biggest testimony for me. And I know, like, throughout the years when I was like maybe 15 or 14 or something, I talked about it in my channel as well, that I asked God that when it's time for my marriage season, you should send 3 types of people to me. Somebody that I don't know from anywhere that has your spirit and that I would recognize. Then talk to my parents, talk to myself, very, very importantly, and just talk to, like, speak to people around me that would be like friends and stuff, that would be like, oh, like, this time is here, it's coming, it's, and all of those things happened. All of those things happened. And to top it off, God gave me his name. And then, you know, so it can only be God. Like, my story, it still, like, sometimes feels really wild to me, but it can only be God. And that's the story here. And that's why we created this channel, Ife and OKEY'S love story, so we can find a way to help people that are in this process and see if we can encourage them as well, and use our stories to kind of just remind them that God is here. And there are some people that I know that have probably recently started this process, and there are some people that have been going on and on for years. And, you know, everything with God is about timing. And, you know, everything with God also should come with peace, because God is actually love. And he will not do anything that would give you depression or frustrate you or confuse you. He would always just come with peace. And that's kind of my perspective on this.
Yeah, and as we all know too, that every great thing comes with its own challenges. So it's like, oh, this is an obstacle. This is once you overcome the obstacle, bam, then you win the jackpot. So honestly, in our love journey, I wouldn't say it's been easy, but with God, all things are possible. So we've had our ups and downs, you know. Considering that we're from 2 different tribes in Nigeria, because if you know Nigeria very well, we have different tribes. We have a lot of them, and she's from the Yoruba tribe, and I'm from the Igbo tribe. So we have different cultures and all that. So you know, we have the parents, their own belief, their own cultural definitions of marriage, and we have the societal definition of marriage as well. All those things we had to overcome. We'll talk more about it deeply. We'll dive deeply into the stories in our further videos that we'll be posting on this channel. How we had to overcome our both parents, the society we live in, the culture that our environment believes in, and talking about Christianity as well. We believed in the same thing, in the same spirituality, which is Christ-like. So we are Christians, and our biblical and literal explanation and God ministration of this definition of Christian is Christ-like. We are not your typical religious people. We are not religious, but we are Christians, Christ-like in our belief system. Because honestly, yeah, the gathering of the saints is very vital in the life of every Christian. Because like a student, you ought to go to school. So like a Christian, you ought to go to a church. But we believe that every denomination of church is a process of learning. Like in schools, you go for your master's, your bachelor degree, your PhD, and so on and so forth. You visit different schools, and you take different classes for different subjects. So the same thing with us when it comes to Christianity, we could visit different churches for a particular area or sector of our life or spirituality that we believe that needs to be touched, or our relationship with society as a whole, because we don't believe that church exists in a different world and the world exists differently. No, we believe that they are intertwined in existence, so they have to coexist. Even my journey as being a Christian, a devoted Christian, a prophet, as some people will say, and yet I'm in the entertainment industry and I act, and being an actor, this like cultural conflict and religious conflicts in our choice of ideology in marriage and in life. So we're talking deeply into all those things, how we're able to overcome, and how we're able to always keep ourselves together in love and in check, and having been able to discuss about every topic and talk about every area of our lives, and how God told me the specific areas that that He called me to be of help to my wife in the beginning part of this journey, when I wanted to back out and I was like, God, you've always sent me to a lot of people to help them. I also need help. Yeah. Because helpers also needs help. But God made me understand that for every good level of life, it requires a fight. That's why I tell people that if you're a lover, you ought to be a fighter. And I love my wife because she's a fighter of love. Yeah. She believes in love and she fights for her love. And I believe in love and I fight for my love, because where is the love if you can't fight for the love that you believe in? For if you believe in things, you should fight, be able to fight for them. When we mean fight, it's not literally being violent or physical fight. No. But mentally standing with what you believe in, irrespective of it not tallying with other people's belief or the societal belief, but you knowing that what you believe in is right. Because a lot of our culture back here in Nigeria has been modernized, a lot of it has been abolished as well. So if some of them was abolished because people thought that they were not societal friendly, so why won't more be abolished? And like Jesus said, He has not come to abolish the law, but to fulfill it, make it a light burden for people to bear. You understand? Don't yoke others with burdens that you cannot bear. That's our core moral value when it comes to culture and religion. We make because Jesus said He has come to lift this burden off us. You understand? Like Moses said, you should not, or thou shalt not murder. But He says unto you, if a brother holds a grudge in his heart for a fellow brother, he has killed the brother. Don't fornicate. But if you look at what Jesus said, if you look at a woman lustfully or a man lustfully, you have already committed fornication as well.
So that's all for today. I hope that with this little snippet of our stories from both perspectives, even if we haven't really dived deep in it yet, but I think that should give you a little bit of perspective on how our story went. And so thank you so much for liking, sharing, subscribing to our channel. And thank you so much for just being here and being here to listen. And whoever God leads to this channel, you're supposed to be here. And we just want to say thank you, and we love you guys, and thank you for following us. Is there anything you want to say, honey?
Yeah, we know that as we are led by the Spirit of God through Jesus Christ, that sharing our story with the world will change a lot of life, inspire a lot of souls, and bring a lot of people back home, literally, spiritually, mentally, and otherwise. Home is a place of peace. When I say home, I mean a place of peace. It's not just house or your ancestral base, but it's a place of rest. Finding that place of rest, that's a home.
Yeah.
And that's a home we've decided to build for ourselves. And we hold strong to our peace. We don't compromise our joy, which gives us happiness at all times.
Yeah.
So hit the subscription button, hit the notification button as well, so you'll be notified whenever we post a new video, and join us on this journey. We call it a journey, and we also call it a movement. It has no ending. So in every level and every experience and in every episode of our lives, we're going to be putting out there. We're not holding anything back. We are putting it all out there for people to learn from, for people to learn from our personal experiences and get it done well and get it done right, and for us to also receive comments on other people's stories that we should also learn from. So we always pray that God will continue to speak to us and speak through us, and speak to you and speak through you as well, to us and to the entire world at large.
Thank you so much, guys. We love you.
We love you.
Mwah.
Like, subscribe, and share. Hit the notification button. Stay tuned to
at Ife OK Love.
And follow us on all social media platforms at
Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and I believe Facebook as well.
Yeah, and we're having programs on TikTok Live as well, on OKEY'S or Dr. Love.
And if you want to follow our individual channels as well, if you so choose to, it's at Ife Obanwo, and his is
at OKEY'S.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Bye.
Bye. Love you all. God bless.